Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick roll call. We have Harriet, Frank, Brian, Adrian, Harriet, myself, Holly, and Captioner Danielle.
And
And
Pauline.
me.
Oh my gosh, and Pauline. You know what's, I'm so sorry. What throws me is not having your name in the corner. Forgive me, Pauline. And Pauline.
This once.
I'm going to go through next. I'm going to read through the agenda for everyone.
Thank you.
We're going to, Adrian and myself are going to have some brief reports, updates on some activities that have been going on. We're going to go through some small parts of the bylaws, and I'll bring your attention to those tonight. We are going to look at October, November, December, and January meeting minutes. I hope everyone's had a chance to read through them.
Yes.
And if you have any comments, so we can have a vibrant conversation and hopefully accept those minutes and move from there. We are going to look at the commission goals, and we're going to review the new code of conduct. And I'm going to add to the agenda tonight a very exciting topic. It's the $50,000 question. It is the high school scholarship program. We allocated $50,000 in funding, and the Somerville High School Scholarship Foundation is being the what's the right word, Adrian, Brian? I don't want to say facilitator or
Grantor, right? The grantor.
They run a program, and they will be providing us with the applicants, and we will be providing them with our approved, with our choices for these scholarships, and they will be managing the financial process. I'm not making any of this is making sense. They're doing the heavy lifting, and they have a process in place, and we have an agreement in place. And that took 4 months, hours and hours that none of you could ever imagine, by a large group of people, but we have it. And I think I'm going to start with Adrian, if there's anything that you'd like to bring up first or report on.
Sure. I know we're going to talk about the code of conduct, and I'm not going to spoiler alert that, but as a requirement of the mayor's office, as I think most of you know who attended those sessions, this group all commissions do have to adopt it, and then thus individual members do have to sign it. So that's on file. But we'll talk more about that later. I was just asked to give a reminder because that deadline's in about a month, I think, a little over a month. We have some time. Other than that, the ADA community survey is out for a little less than 2 months. All submissions are due by June 30th. And we have just crossed into about the 325 range. We're aiming for about 800 to 1,000. So if you know somebody who you think would like to take it, please keep promoting it. Harriet, we were able, our analyst appreciated your responses, and so we've captured those. So thank you for your diligence on that. Speaking about it at all the ward meetings, I am doing some language specific sessions with our Office on Immigrant Affairs for folks where English is not their primary language, and those have gone really well. I've been except for tonight, I have been at all the ward meetings, sort of tabling for it and passing out the QR codes. And we will have 2 online by registration English focus groups around the survey on Thursday, June 1st, and then again on June 8th. And those will be in the evening on Zoom. So RSJ will be promoting that this week, and I'll get that information to this commission if you would like to invite anybody or anybody needs help to register. So that's all I have for right now.
This is Harriet. I just have a quick question.
Of course.
Did you get some interested people at the table in the other ward meeting or meetings?
Yeah, so tabling is a loose word in the way that they're conducting these ward meetings. The tables primarily are for those attending, as you also, I hope heard or felt last night. I know Holly and Brian saw, and I saw a packed house for Ward 6 last night, standing room only. They had to order more pizza, so I do my best to sort of hand it out as people are coming in. And then if folks need a paper survey, we do that. Denise, of course, talks about it during the racial and social justice part of the presentation. So we're getting pretty good feedback that way. But as I know, you all know, ward meetings, people are pretty laser focused on certain issues when coming in. So sometimes I do get ignored, but I try to push gently to get that information. And I'll be at there's an all ward Spanish session tomorrow night at East Somerville. So that would be good to get some other folks. And then I think we wrap up with the in-person ward meetings next week, and then there will be a final all ward virtual session on Monday, May 22nd.
Yeah.
You have more, Adrian. Definitely missing one big one.
What am I missing?
The call for.
Oh, I am missing a big one. I'm sorry. The call for the 3 open seats is out for the Commission for Persons with Disabilities. I believe that is due towards the end of May.
Yeah.
So about 4 weeks. I have been told if we get, I don't want to use the word stragglers, but there's a little bit of cushion there, but we do have to be mindful that City Council is going to be quite busy in June with budget and things. So we have to keep in mind that timeline. So these potential new folks aren't held up in that process because of summer schedule of City Council. So that is something I'm going to try to get Victoria to see if we can somehow get it talked about tomorrow night, or I can tell folks, and then going forward. But yeah, it's out. So 3 open seats, all for persons with disabilities. I believe these 3 slots are slotted for.
So
Thank
it's
you.
very exciting that the call for commissioners is out there. Let's see. I'm gonna move us around and we're gonna look at October's meeting minutes first. And look at the draft of those meeting minutes, and I'm hoping we can do October, November, and then we'll switch to another topic, and then we'll go back and do the other 2. I think 4 all at once is kind of like eating ice cream too quickly. And I think, I know personally, I would like a break in between. So Adrian, do you want to share them or would you like me to share them? What's easiest?
If you give me a minute, I can pull them up.
I stick all the documents on a jump drive.
Yep,
So I can
that's where
look
they are for me.
cool,
I
but
just
I
have to-
really don't. It's just hanging on the side here. So if you,
Aha, here it is. I found it.
Ah.
I have a lot of folders on my desktop.
yeah,
So you would like to start with October, is that correct?
yes, please. Pauline and Harriet, did you both receive embossed copies of October and November
Did
of
I?
2022?
Right.
Yeah,
there.
can you hold on a minute? Hold on a minute.
Absolutely.
Where is my sharing?
Some of them are combined in here. That's the thing. All right, in this big volume here. Remember I told you they were in here? I just should have had you.
Okay, I have October minutes in front of me.
Oh, good for you. I'm working on it, but I'll get there. I remember reading it through and having no quarrel. That's all I can tell you.
Okay. I'm gonna wait for Pauline.
I'm all set. I've got it.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm just gonna scroll through this. I read them as well. It keeps getting bigger than my screen. Here we go. We have who was in attendance. Wonder if it's my screen. It's so weird. If I move it over, it moves back. Okay. I can't navigate it. Is everyone else able to see it?
Yeah, I have it up on my computer. But I have the PDF. I don't have the Word.
I'm going to, I don't know if it's a
Can I-
size.
Can I assist anybody? What do they need? Somebody to read this?
Sure.
You can read it, yeah.
Okay. All right. You ready for the roll call and the whole 9 yards
Sure.
or beyond that? Huh?
Holly,
Yep.
may I ask a quick question? Are we gonna
Please.
read the minutes
Um,
from October? That'll take the whole meeting probably to
Yeah.
read the whole meeting from
Okay.
October.
so,
And
how about,
Usually,
go ahead.
in other committees and commissions, the standard practice is to ask if there are any revisions to the minutes
Okay.
and let the entire commission speak to whether they have any revisions to the minutes. Those revisions get recorded unless there's an objection. And then there's a vote on accepting the minutes with revisions, if any.
Okay.
That works great for sighted people and.
No, I recognize that, but I'm just stating what the standard practice is. So we can discuss and that's the way we've always done it in the past.
I know it well. And it's
So-
fine with me. I did read them all through. I don't know if I got them perfectly, but I didn't see anything egregiously out of
I
place.
didn't see anything wrong.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions or objections to the October draft minutes as they stand? Okay, then I'm gonna ask for a motion to accept these other documents.
I make a motion to accept the minutes
From October,
for
Right.
October 11th, 2022.
Thank you, Pauline. Do I have a second?
seconded, Harriet.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Just for the record, I'm abstaining just because I was not at that meeting.
No, thank you, Brian. We have one abstain. No. All in favor and no,
Mhm.
not in favors.
3 out of 4 present. So that-
Mhm.
Let's do the same thing with November. Harriet, does the
Right.
same hold true for November, that you have reviewed it and you do not have any?
Yeah. Radical changes. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Same for me.
Okay. Can I have a first to accept the November 8th, 2022 draft minutes
I'll
and
make a,
approve them?
Harriet, I'll make a motion to pass the minutes.
Thank you, Harriet. Can I have a second?
I will second.
Second,
We have 2 seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
aye.
Right.
Okay, motion passes. It's unanimous. Okay. Should we do December and January since we're on a roll and I
It
don't feel,
seems you're moving pretty quickly, so you might as well just cross that off your list.
okay. I agree. So how about December? You wouldn't mind pulling those up, Adrian. Look at mine. read this one. Does anyone have any edits or questions for the December minutes?
Nope.
Nope.
Can I have a first to approve the December 2022 minutes?
I make a motion, Harriet speaking.
May I have a second?
Second, Pauline.
Thank you, Pauline. All those in favor, say aye.
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 You in favor, Pauline?
She
Yeah.
said.
Sorry, I didn't hear it. My bad. Anyone abstaining? I don't believe so. I think we have all 5. Okay, great. Motion passes.
Oh, I'd like to make a statement about this one. Holly and I worked on this one together to make sure that the PDF was also screen readable as well as brailleable. So this one would make a good template to use for future minutes.
Oh, for you, Brian. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. Would you send me the Word document that created it?
It's a
Holly, I think
PDF, right?
I think you did it, or
I don't,
I have the Word document, Brian, so I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah, send it to me and I'll start using that as the template.
I'm confused. Did you say a PDF? Right?
no, I only have the PDF.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we screen shared and Holly did it on her
Oh,
computer.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, and for
Are you-
embossing, they prefer a Word document.
Okay,
are
good.
you sure it was the December one? Because that copy has the images on it. I know we got rid of images.
Oh, I was assuming, I thought Frank said the January one.
No, I thought it was the one that you just showed on your
That's
screen.
January, I just showed January.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Was it December?
A little confused. Yeah.
Okay, so we were voting on December. Was it clear to everyone that we were accepting the December
No, that
minutes?
was December, I'm sorry. I'm about to pull up January.
Okay, I just want to make sure
So
that,
which one do I need to send Brian for a template?
Pull up January and confirm with Frank if that's the one, because that's what
Got
I'm looking at and it doesn't have the images on it. And it
Yeah.
appears to have been set up for some purpose. So I'm thinking it's
Okay.
probably the one.
Hold on. Okay.
Yes, that does look good. Yes.
Oh, weird. That is not the one that I have for January.
No, he changed it, right? You changed it, Frank. right?
No, I don't think I did this one. I'm trying to remember.
I'm gonna
The,
ask,
yeah,
ahead,
Adrian,
Brian.
this appears to be the original draft.
So this was the one that was sent for embossing.
let's just take a step back.
Okay.
Does anyone have any comments or want to make any changes to the January 2023 minutes? Okay, can I have a first to accept and approve the January 10th, 2023 minutes?
I'll make a motion, Harriet.
Thank you, Harriet. Can I have a second, please?
Second, Pauline.
Thank you, Pauline. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Brian, Harriet?
Abstain because I wasn't in attendance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, motion passes. January is approved. Now, I know we want to verify if this is the proper format and how we did the embossing. And I think it might be easiest if Frank and I on Zoom separately went through the process of taking those Word versions and you showing them in that software how they display. Would that be okay?
Right. Yeah, so for both for brailing and for reading as a PDF, yeah, they have somewhat interesting requirements.
Can the same format be used for both brailing and screen reading a PDF?
I think Sometimes yes, but it's tricky because Braille is a different format and the pages are smaller. So
Mhm.
there might be times when, for clarity, we may need to reformat for Brailing.
Yeah.
But we have,
Um,
yeah.
I've been told by Perkins that they cannot Braille PDFs. It needs to be in a plain text
Oh,
format.
No, I
yeah,
understand.
Adrian, I agree
We're
with
talking about
that.
screen reading.
Oh,
Yeah.
screen reading.
Yeah,
I don't
really, it
know.
was-
I think it depends on the screen reader.
I think
Yeah,
they're fairly
Well,
consistent.
they're two common ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to work with those two at least. So,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I guess we could take this one offline, but it does look like this is a document that I must have worked on and I forgot. Sorry for the,
I think that the agenda is in the formats that we definitely tested the agenda format.
Okay.
But you and I can sit on a Zoom call later this week and just look at together which version, how it literally it displays what the embossing will look like. And
and we'll generate a PDF from it, and then we'll have a screen reader read it, and we'll make sure that it reads correctly also.
okay.
and then
Yeah. And when you
I'll
all
send a
done that,
message.
send it over to me and I'll make that the new template moving forward.
Great. Thank you.
The,
But there will be two templates, right? There'll be one for the Braille and one for the screen reader.
No,
No?
ideally not.
Okay,
I mean, someday we may, like, there may be certain documents that we would have to do that way, but
okay.
I
okay.
don't think we've encountered that situation
Okay,
yet.
good.
yeah, I would rather readjust, I would rather reformat our minutes and agenda to be unusual for a sighted person if we can make it so that we can just do one agenda and 1 minute. And also just, we can't have 2 minutes for each meeting. We actually can only have 1 minute to be a legal record. So we have to figure out a way to do that, I think. Adrian, I don't know if you're off or not, but the minutes for January that you showed are different from the minutes that are posted on the website.
They're different, you say?
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look.
We didn't bring the
So-
PDF up, so.
So I don't think that, I think the key issue is making sure that we get the correct ones. The
On the-
correct one noted for the final record.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, I see the issue here, yes.
So I pulled
What-
mine off the website.
Yeah, mine is off the website also, it's a PDF.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to send PDFs to the,
Yeah, so. Share,
And
yeah, oh, I'm muted, talking to myself.
No, you're fine. We can hear you.
Okay.
You're fine, we can hear you.
Yeah, I understand that. This is what Holly sent me to be embossed.
can you? One,
Yep.
Oh no, we lost Holly.
Yeah.
oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In the version that we have, each of the headings is numbered.
Right.
Um,
Did you all take numbers out for Braille embossing, which is sometimes a preference depending on the embosser? I do know that.
It may have been, however,
Oh, well, Harriet, I think you specifically asked for that,
To do what?
about taking out the numbers. So
How-
it's, some of the items were numbered lists and they were not useful.
let's pause on January approval until I can verify that the versions that were embossed
Yeah,
and that they're the same.
yep. Good
Okay.
idea.
Okay.
By the way, I want to point something out here. We're probably one of the few public bodies that actually are dipping our toes into this area of accessibility. So there are going to definitely be little hiccups like this one, and we should expect that.
Yeah, and I am regularly in touch with Rachel Tenenhouse, who's the ADA coordinator and the chairperson director of the commission in Cambridge, and they have had a Braille embosser in their library system for probably 10+ years. And they run into hiccups all the time.
It's just difficult.
Sometimes with the embosser, just like the troubleshooting and what happens with an embosser. And then, staff training and then things not lining up correctly, even when they feel like they're doing everything right to get it formatted correctly.
Okay, I'm going to have us move on. I'm gonna talk about the candidates for the.
Holly, I'm sorry to interrupt you through the chair.
Sure.
Do you want me to send you and Frank these 2 different versions by
Sure.
email? So you have them
Sure.
at the top of your inbox peripheral.
Please do.
It's good.
And
Thank
I
you.
will copy Brian just for, secretarial,
For conversation, yeah.
yeah.
So that I-
Absolutely.
yeah.
So we have not officially approved January. We are waiting
Correct.
until we can verify this, and then it will be reviewed later. Just want to make sure that that's in the minutes that way.
Yep, that's the way I have it right now.
Cool, thank you. So, we as a body voted to approve $50,000 from our funds towards the Somerville High School Scholarship Program. And the part of the process was developing a scope of how the approvals work, how the funding works, what the agreements are. And I just want to bring 2 parts to your attention so that they will set the tone and explain how we arrived at the applicants that we would like to present tonight for approval. So these, the scholarships provide Somerville High School seniors with the financial means to further their education by attending higher education in trade schools, celebrating the diversity of our students, and supporting the ways in which they can build an inclusive world for persons with disabilities. This education builds the foundation for students to pursue careers that support, benefit, and enrich the lives of persons with disabilities. Students who have demonstrated advocacy, experience personal and family challenges with disabilities, and have chosen to pursue future careers that will support and benefit persons with disabilities in the future are among the students the commission seeks to support. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Yes, Brian.
Ollie, this is Brian. I just wanted to clarify. Has the commission already approved the use of these funds for the scholarship?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm sure that was at one of the meetings in the fall that I didn't attend.
I think it's one of the 3 that we approved.
The
The
sure
drafts
it
that
is.
we, yes.
Yeah, it must have been, the one that, I think it was October, the one that I wasn't here, which is fantastic. The second piece is, what is our goal tonight? Is our goal tonight to select the students? Like, I don't understand what the goal is.
So give me 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And I hope it'll make sense. So in order for scholarship applications are standardized forms. They have demographic information, personal information that includes things like income, race, age, address, parent and guardian details. And for these reasons, the foundation has sent to the chair applications with responses only to these fields, which I'm going to read you the information that we were provided with. Each student has a 6-digit unique identifier code. It's a numeric value. And I believe it's their Somerville High School or Somerville, City of Somerville student ID number that stays with them from kindergarten to through high school. The extracurricular activity section where they are, sorry, loud dog, where they are putting in free text, the answers to work and volunteerism. This section's on short answers and multiple choice questions, which I'll go over when we look at the candidates. And then there's a section with the Highlander Athletics Association awards. It just gives some more broad information about these students. The remaining fields and all the other pages are either stripped or they're redacted. So I'm going to apologize to our blind members. This is what it looks like.
So
I don't know if you could see that well, Brian.
document that has a lot of things blacked out on it.
Yes.
It's like a form, but many of the entries are crossed off somehow with a black magic marker, so I can't see what text is there.
And none of us should see what they are. This, what I've showed, what I'm displaying, Pauline and Harriet, is the first page of an application for a high school scholarship. And again, these are standard forms. These are used universally, not just in our city, but across the US. And this whole entire first page has the only things that we should know are the student's individual ID number. And at the bottom, it has their activities and extracurricular sports and such. That is why I wanted to share with the commission that this form is completely blacked out. Just an honesty check. Because none of that should be what should influence our decisions when looking at students that meet the criteria for those that we'd like to provide funding to. Anyone have any questions? So the first page is entirely redacted except for activities. The second page answers all free text questions. I'm going to give you some examples. Things like what college majors are you interested in? What career choice are you interested in? What activities have you done? Are you a member of Best Buddies? Do you have an interest in working in the healthcare or social services field for aging and or older adults? There is a information, it's not required, that talks about if they would like to live on campus or if they prefer to not live on campus, who they've applied to and who they've been accepted to for schools. And very broad questions. For example, why have you chosen to pursue your specific education or career? So there can be as little as 2 words or no words or paragraphs of information. It's whatever the student chose to complete. These applications that were submitted are reviewed by the foundation, by a separate group that just looks at applications, not the entire body that runs this nonprofit organization. So there is a separate group that looks at them. There are maybe 75, possibly more scholarships that are available through the foundation for Somerville High School seniors. So we are one in the many. So these applications are reviewed by the foundation, who sees a lot more information that's not appropriate for us. So a lot of these kids may get other scholarships. So of the 100 and so applications that they received, there were 19 applications that met the criteria in a broad sense that we then were handed so that we could go through and review and based on the criteria, make recommendations for tonight.
Right, right.
Does anyone have any questions?
I think.
Okay, so
Harriet speaking.
hi, Harriet.
I think you mentioned it, but I might have missed it, that a part of the application includes a recommendation from the guidance counselor, right?
It does, yes. Sometimes they were helpful, other times they were very simple. So myself and Harriet reviewed these last night and finished them this afternoon. There were 19 applications from 19 unique students. And of the 19, we have 10 applicants that we'd like to briefly review and vote. And we hope we can approve these 10 applicants so they can get their scholarships. Any questions? Comments? Okay, I'm going to read just, I would say, maybe 3 brief pieces that embody the reasons in which Harriet and I felt that they were good candidates. And if anyone would, yes, Brian.
Could you first really briefly describe overarching why you selected these 10 as opposed to the full 19? Like what generally, what were the general topic? What was the theme or themes that were like, these 10 were clearly better than the rest of than the other 9 that you didn't select?
I would say the first thing, and feel to jump in anytime, Harriet, were students who had already participated and had been in the technical educational programs at the high school and had begun working towards pharmacy degrees, working towards nursing degrees, working towards degrees in education or daycare, as well as students who had participated and were best buddies to other children in the school system who had disabilities. And a lot of them spoke deeply about the experiences, and they tied their choices for careers, not only to their experience in the trade school, but some in their jobs. So a lot of these students worked for CVS as interns. Many of them, again, were best buddies, and lots of them shared personal stories about individuals in their lives and what drove them to go into some of these health careers or
Yeah.
educational careers, things that would benefit individuals with disabilities.
And I
Several
want-
of, go ahead, please join in, Harriet.
Yeah, no, and I would also add, it was interesting because all of them are best buddies, and I guess the best buddies program is a national program, which does match up students with disabilities. Is that right? Or students who
It
would-
is.
But also,
They,
This is Pauline. I was under the impression that Best Buddies was only limited to folks who were involved in, the Special Olympics and things like that, not other disabilities.
no. Best buddies, we can take a peek at it, but the descriptions and the information that was provided from the students about best buddies, let me go and pull one specifically.
but I wanted to put in that a number of them, if not almost all of them, have had family members who are elder or disabled whom they assisted in their support and care. So,
Or
Yeah.
they themselves identified as having disabilities. And many of these students were bilingual, which myself and Harriet felt was a strength for people to be working with and pursuing careers and having their own disabilities and could speak multiple languages.
yeah. that's-
Yeah, and it looks like, to remind myself that there's job development, there's friendship and mentoring and other, so it's pretty inclusive of not only personal and social skills, but job and career development if that's what the person needs. I do think they have several members of that organization who are involved in the Special Olympics, especially in Massachusetts, because Special Olympics is pretty big here. But I think those are separate. I don't think either one requires that linkage.
So this student was treasurer and vice president of the Best Buddies Club, Best Buddies International at Somerville High School for 4 years. They described it as helping students with learning disabilities create meaningful friendships and making them feel welcome. These are their own words. There are other students that were participated in Best Buddies and described the experience in a different way. But they all tied in. Go ahead, Brian.
I guess my second question is, are we proposing to evenly split the $50,000 scholarship amongst the 10 evenly?
Yes,
So
that is the rules. That is the what's the right words, the scope of the agreement.
Okay.
So the process is, I'm going to sort of segue into that just because it was a great opportunity. We have established $50,000 to go towards this program for this calendar year. Based on the number of applications that we approve as a body for this program, the $50,000 is divided equally. So if we had 2 students, they would each be allotted $25,000. If we had, 50 students, they would each get $1,000. What that amount is, and we're going to use the 10 candidates, $50,000, that $5,000 per student is what we're calling their maximum award. The actual award is based on the costs for tuition, books, and fees. So if someone's entire program cost for their first year of college is less than that $5,000, we will only be reimbursing them for the amount that for those costs. If a student has $25,000 in tuition and books, they will only receive $5,000. So everyone is approved for a maximum amount, which is the total $50,000 divided amongst the scholars that we have approved, but they still need to provide proof because there were some concerns in the commission when we went through this program that if we were to just give everyone the same amount and someone didn't have that much in expenses, what would they do with the balance? And in some of these scholarships, there's never a question about the need. There could be a scholarship that is for whatever, there's a scholarship specifically for a cheerleader and it has a set amount. And that amount goes to whatever student applies and is approved. It's not looked on. They don't need to provide receipts. It doesn't matter if they need more or less. That is how that was set up. So in our program, the amounts are divided equally and the process of receiving those, I believe they give us a, when they register, they get proof of registration. The foundation gets that information and they forward that to me. I approve the amounts. I send that to finance. Finance cuts the checks to the foundation for that student, and then they pay the student directly. We get the checks back. There's a very stringent checks and balance process as part of the agreement so that we know that the funds were sent. We have backup of what their tuition and fees were. And if there is a check that's sent out that isn't cashed, we get that money returned from the foundation. So the goal is to provide $50,000. And it's still, the actual final amount will depend on, again, if we do agree that these 10 student applicants are our choices, as long as they each have $5,000 in expenses, then they will all get their full $5,000.
Okay. Yeah,
I've been sleeping this as well as Adrian for months now.
yeah. It's taken some work to kind of work through it all, but I think it's this filtered. This is Harriet. I think it's this filtered through so that we don't have as much, we have less complication rather than more complication, I think, in the distribution of the funding.
No, I am really impressed with how you all pulled this together. I think based on your two explanation of how you narrowed from 19 down to 10 makes a ton of sense. And I think it is a really good understanding of how you all made the decision. Furthermore, as much as I would love to hear about each of the 10 students, I'm not confident we have really the time. And I'm 100% confident and comfortable with the process that you pulled together as a subcommittee and your explanation of it. And I would move that we approve the 10 students that Holly, you and Harriet have proposed via your subcommittee for approval of an even split of the scholarship monies that we have on offer.
You're the best, Brian.
Is
And
this
I
a motion?
second-
This is a motion, right?
This is a
Yes.
motion.
Okay, then I second it.
Fantastic. All those in favor? Say
Huh?
aye.
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 We have 5 ayes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ayes.
Four.
Ayes. The ayes have it. 10 students each get $5,000 maximum awards. Oh, I am so thrilled.
Yep.
Through the chair, quick question, because I need to be reminded myself. There is a ceremony or an event where these 10 students will find out that they're getting these funds. Is that correct?
Yes, you are my perfect segue. I need to turn my light on in my room, so give me 1 second.
I
No
know
more window light.
it's almost 8. We're losing the sunlight.
That seems. to
But
be-
never fear, there is still more sunlight coming.
Yes, really.
Sorry, I couldn't. Rude technology, headset over hearing aids, but it works. Okay, so thank you very much, Adrian. Yes, there is this fantastic process. The foundation notifies students and invites them to an event at the high school. And they're notified that they have been accepted for a scholarship. They don't know how many, which ones, what the dollar amount is. They don't know anything about it. But they invited with their parents to come to an event in the evening. I've got to check if it's May 24th, 25th, but I will make sure that we all have that information. And they are, believe it's a short little ceremony. They bring the kids up and they present to them the actual awards. I think they call it awards night. And they've asked us to come and they'd like me to present the awards. And I would like to have as many members, public, anyone who would like to be there to support these kids. And I am going to look up the date and the time. And I'm going to cross my fingers it doesn't conflict with any major city events. So it is Wednesday, May 24th at 6:30 p.m.
You are
Right.
good. There's not ward meetings are over by then. So
Woo!
Oh,
Way.
goody.
I think, unless they pop something else on there, but I don't
Well,
think-
you are all cordially invited to join.
What's
And I
the
will-
date again?
It is Wednesday, May 24th at 6:30 p.m. and it is at the high school.
Where in the high school auditorium? You don't know. It's okay.
I don't know, but I will absolutely make sure every detail is available.
Yeah.
Because Adrian and I had talked with the foundation that we would like to support, welcoming these students or having, like an event to present them with them. And that's when we found out the foundation already has this event all set up. So the one thing I can tell you is we don't know anything about these students other than the 4 or 5 things that we presented us that that were part of our criteria. And I'm very excited to meet these people and actually learn more of their stories and see them as individuals. So
Holly, is it true that these students didn't even know that they were in the running for this scholarship? Like they didn't
correct.
apply specifically for this.
Right. And I think there is some value in that. And that's something that we can discuss for the next 4 or 5 minutes. Because of the timing, some of our scholarship funding did not make it into the catalog. So there's sort of a catalog, a program that the students are aware of. If you are a cheerleader, if you have interest in Portuguese, if you do Taekwondo, and I'm improvising, other than I do know that the cheerleader experience does exist. And you get to check off the ones that you're interested in. However, the committee, from what I'm told, looks at these students in a very broad sense and looks at them for all the different
May I ask a
scholarships
foolish
available.
question?
There is no foolish question. Please ask away. Ask anything you like.
My question is, what does cheerleading have to do with anything? I mean, it's
It's I had a similar response, but there was a family whose daughter passed away who was a cheerleader, and she did not get to go to
Okay.
college. And so this
Okay.
family decided to have a scholarship in her honor. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick you in the gut, Brian. I saw your face. I did the same thing. I was like, oh, because I
No,
And I
I-
do want to
is
say
that
that
awful.
my senior year in college, I roomed with 2 twins who were cheerleaders on the competitive team. And it's very serious in college, and it can actually be a stepping stone to a college education because it is considered a level of athleticism.
yeah, no,
Yes.
cheering is an
It's
NCAA
incredible.
sport. It
Yeah.
is an amazing organization for building self-esteem and giving young men and women a real understanding of who they are. No, my face was at the question, not at the answer.
Oh no, my feeling was when you hear the story that someone passed away. That's the part
Oh,
that that
oh, yeah.
makes me do
No,
that. And as I said that, I saw your head go down. And so that was my assumption, was that feeling that I felt of being kicked in the
That
gut.
could
I'm
have been
so
it
sorry
too.
to hear that this is a memorial scholarship. But there
I
are several
know,
of those.
when I was at Perkins, I tried out for cheerleading, didn't make it, but
I didn't make the cheerleading squad either, Pauline. I couldn't touch my toes.
Can I
I
say
had,
further about these?
I made one motion wrong. I made one motion wrong, and that's
What
what did it.
motion was it?
I don't remember.
Harriet had her.
Oh,
hand
Their
up.
loss. It's their
I'm
loss.
sorry.
Go ahead, Harriet. You had
Yeah.
a comment.
I just want to make it 150% clear. What's cool is that when students apply, they could either go through the catalog and
Yes.
and they could, in a sense, just get entered anyway for any scholarship, So I mean, in a way, it's an interesting process. So we didn't have our commission summary in there, but on the other hand, they picked some for us because I imagine they had a whole lot more applications, right? Holly?
They did, and they were looking for the fields that we told them was all that we would be reviewing. And I think the important part that I totally missed is these students did not know that there was $50,000 out there. They didn't know that there were 10, 20, or 50, or the dollar amount. They didn't know what our criteria was or the types of students we were looking to provide scholarship money to. So these students were chosen. They whatever they wrote, was not biased in the way of looking to sort of be the right candidate for a scholarship for us. And I think that that really shows a lot that these students, as part of their application, this is what they believe in.
Yeah.
And the idea is, should we, is that something that's important to us for next year, which we can discuss when it gets August or something, when we'll review this program again. So we have 10 very happy students and 10 very happy families.
Yes.
And 10
Okay.
very surprised, happily surprised.
Yeah,
that-
so thank you all. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, the city of Somerville. Thank you to the mayor. Everyone is thrilled that this is coming up. So we'll make sure that there's invitations and details for the presentation for those kids and students. Okay. Moving on. Adrian, would you like us to go over the code of conduct? I do kind of have it towards the end, and I know it's very important for the city, and that, you know, you'd like us to review that. Would that be okay if we move to their next?
I'm not sure what exactly, I guess more so if people had questions about it. I think everybody, I know Harriet and Frank and Pauline and Jenny and Deborah were able to make it to, and you did, Holly, as well, to one of the sessions. So I don't want to repeat what Hannah and Denise went over. And Hannah's happy to take additional questions. So there's really not much to go over. It's more so that there might need to be a vote from this body to adapt it. I wanted to clarify with Hannah. Hannah's on vacation right now, but I wanted to clarify with Hannah, like, once this particular group adapted it, what would that look like in your bylaws? So would it say like a line that says, this commission operates in line of the code of conduct as established by the city of Somerville in whatever time, or do you need to put the whole entire thing in there? That is actually what I'm not sure of and haven't been able to ask Hannah.
I did have some concerns that we were told we would be voting on this, but we were also, it's also clarified that the vote is a yes, that we will be accepting this. There is no vote to not accept. And I in no way feel that what the essence of these code of conduct is all appropriate. It's everything my parents taught me to do. It's everything I believe in. It is, it's very important. There are a few areas where some responsibility is put on the chair of the commission, which is not something that is a part of our bylaws or something that I can't say if there are other commissions that have that responsibility. And my concern has been that all people with disabilities and all who are unique and different not only should be on our commission, but they could be the chair, they can be the secretary, they are welcomed. And if we need to adapt anything for anyone's needs for full participation, we will. But if the responsibilities for the chair are more than an individual is comfortable with, that would exclude them from that opportunity. And that reason, that piece is my only concern. Again, these are my personal feelings.
Right.
I don't know if anyone else has any comments about the code of conduct. Many of it is the same as the state or federal code of ethics and open meeting law, which we are all governed by. But there are just some areas, again, just two small parts, I believe, where the chair is responsible for some things. Harriet, you had a question.
Yeah, I had two questions. One is just for my own interest, and that is, if you know, Adrian, I'm curious, who what committee collaborated on writing this? And second part is, was there some sense that the first two trainings missed certain important things? And that's what I was curious about.
I went to all three trainings and they were all pretty similar in content, so I don't think they missed anything from, at least from my perspective. In terms of your first question, as far as I know, it was a collaboration between Hannah, who is a legislative liaison in the mayor's office, with some assistance in terms of diversity and inclusion guidelines and models from Denise Molina Capers, who is the director of the Department of Racial and Social Justice. The mayor did have to sign off on it, of course, because it is a directive of the mayor's office. So that's best I can answer that question. If you or Frank have further questions, you are certainly more than welcome to reach out to Hannah to get clarification.
Okay.
And I think maybe what might be different, Harriet, is the questions that were asked maybe at the third session that I was at, that may be different from the questions that were asked at the first or second. But
Yeah, well, maybe we can discuss that and then formulate some kind of question, because what surprised me, and I'm not quoting it, but what surprised me were specific responsibilities asked of the chair, when I felt that in signing the two other trainings, we're sort of taking personal responsibility for our conduct, you know, in a pretty hefty and legal way. You know, we're signing a contract when we sign those trainings. So that's why this document puzzled me, because it's like, as adults, I cannot enforce anybody on the commission's behavior. That's, you know what I mean? We
Oh,
could.
you're not a police officer.
Well, no, I'm
You're
just
not
a person. I'm not in a position of authority to, I mean, we can say that, we can discuss if we think someone should leave the commission, right? If they don't show up, or if they have conduct that's inappropriate, right?
there is, within the existing bylaws, there is a process outlined of how, I don't want to say it wrong.
No, but I know what you're talking
Summarize
about.
it.
I know what
It
you're
can be
talking
a
about.
special meeting. We can decide as a body that we would like to remove a person from the commission. We can also move it forward if there are other issues to the mayor's office. There is a process, and thankfully, I hope no one in the future ever has to do such a thing, because it would have to be egregious. That would cause such a change. So, but again, that doesn't put the onus on one person, and also doesn't put the power on one person. It doesn't say that the chair will remove them or the chair monitors them. It says that the commission as a body, if they have it, can request a meeting and without that person and have a discussion. So it is, and it's not like a finite thing. If, let's say, someone says there's a problem, a meeting is held, that individual that there are concerns about is not included, it's not a one stop and done. It's a discussion that moves things forward. So I do believe that policy, if anyone needed to do it, is all encompassing. But I also understand that the language that is in this version is it strengthens our need to respect and recognize and make sure we are including all persons, that we are respectful of all persons, that we're not, that it's certainly I want to say the modern version of a code of conduct. It's certainly through Denise's lens, is specifically ensuring that racial and social justice are a component of this. So
Speaking of the code of conduct now, right?
in this document here.
Code of conduct, yeah, okay.
Brian, you have some comments?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, I never went to any of the meetings. I've read the code of conduct. I feel 100% confident in signing it. And I think the commission should adopt it. However, Adrian, the city tells us that should be accomplished. Hopefully they tell us before it actually has to get done. My specific comment, Holly, is with response to your comment about the roles of the committee chair or commission chair in our case. There are only two places in the code of conduct, unless it's been revised since the copy I'm reading, that calls out the role for the committee chair. And both of those roles are the inherent job of the chair to do. It is something that if you can't do those jobs, you can't be the chair of a committee, because that is inherent to the job of the chair. And inherent to the job of the chair of any committee is to maintain order in the committee, to not allow people to speak when they shouldn't be speaking, and to allow people to speak when they should be speaking, and to be able to moderate whether somebody is speaking correctly and following the code of conduct or not. So I actually don't think somebody would be, even now without the code of conduct, like that is the job of the chair to do. So I'm not so certain I agree that this is limiting anyone's ability to be the chair any more than the job of being the chair limits people who don't want to be the chair to be the chair.
Brian is correct in that, Holly. And then also I want to note that among the many things that are part of the staff liaison role is that if any sort of issue were to come up, regardless of this code of conduct, this code of conduct is now going to be put in place. But you may not know, any chair, Holly, may not know that maybe somebody, let's just say, was out of line, or, you maybe weren't sure what to do, because sometimes things happen. These are public meetings. Things happen and you're not quite sure what to do or how to handle it or where to go. And that is where the resource of all staff liaisons exists, being like, breaking it down, what happened there, can we have a conversation? Do we need to talk to somebody else on city staff about it? Do we need to talk to Hannah or the city clerk or something like that? So I want to make sure that this commission understands that whatever leadership role somebody assumes or wants to be, whether that's chair or secretary or treasurer, the other things that are listed currently in the bylaws, the staff liaison support will always be there. But Brian is correct that the conduct of the meeting and sort of the flow of the meeting does fall on the chair of that committee or that commission. That's why we say, Holly, and sometimes we forget, through the chair, or we ask permission to talk because you are running this meeting. You are the chairperson of this meeting. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate that input. And Brian, I appreciate your input as well. I was struggling to shuffle paper and I actually found it in an email, so I have it in front of me. And I do believe it's a June deadline request. I don't know exactly when it is, and I agree that
yeah,
clarity.
and that's because different committees and commissions meet. Some don't meet monthly. I actually recently found this out. Some meet only 6 months a year, or this commission actually meets a lot, which is fine. So they did that sort of on purpose so folks would have time. And some commissions don't meet in July or even August. They take a break. So they set the June deadline because I think they just wanted to get it done before sort of summer things came into play.
Go ahead, Brian.
Adrian, what would be keeping us from just approving it tonight? It sounds like
I don't think anything is keeping you.
But I thought we didn't know how. I thought there wasn't any guidance from the city on how to.
So
how
all I've
to
been told
adopt it.
is you have to adopt it. So somebody could put a motion on the table that says, I move to adopt this code of conduct and, the formalities of the language behind it. And you all say yes. What I am not sure of is once I take that information back to the clerk's office and Hannah, what does that look like in written format? Is that a bylaw update for this commission, you know, a line in the bylaws, which you all have been working on for, you know, a few months now? Or is it simply that it's just on record with the city based on the meeting minutes, you know, and the things we have on record of this meeting that you all have adopted this? That is the question I have to answer to myself, which I can't till next week because Hannah is on vacation.
I did speak with Hannah, and we talked through some of the concerns, and she did say that we could make some changes. I don't know if it was this version or the next version, so maybe getting some more clarity from Hannah might be helpful. But it was clear to me that we didn't need to vote. This had to be accepted because a no vote isn't allowed, so everyone
Right,
has.
so there may not need to be any sort of formality of you all have to take an official vote. You just, what I'm hearing is that you all are accepting it with the idea of how you're going to integrate it within your own structure.
Yeah.
Is probably another discussion.
Well, I'd like to just have as part of the minutes that I do have concerns.
Sure.
Because a lot of it, oh, sorry, I keep flipping. Something that I always look for in all of our presentations and our documents is plain language. And this is not a document that's in plain or simple language. And I'm not suggesting that we change the wording, but possibly boiling it down to a simpler piece, especially for our commission and our members. So that would be, you know, one concern I would like to, or one request I'd like to see in this. And again, here's the part: the committee chair will be tasked with ensuring that members are adhering to the code of conduct. I'm not the only one to do that. I believe all of us should. And absolutely, if the chair feels that way, they should be taking action. But the way it reads, task with ensuring, feels that if someone is saying that any chair and any commission isn't doing that, then they're not meeting their role. And that's my concern.
So is that a plain language concern or is that a role concern?
I think it's both, because
'Cause-
tasked with ensuring that they're adhering is a little, isn't plain enough. To me, I don't understand exactly what would be considered non-adherence. But my other thought is, would someone be the chair and feel uncomfortable or uncertain in how to make sure that members were adhering? Would they be relying more on, say, the liaison or other members of the committee to recognize that kind of behavior? I know I'm getting into the minutia, but my experience at the state level at the Developmental Disabilities Council is very similar. They are a public body made up of persons with developmental disabilities of all ages, and all of our the chair, the vice chair, all had to have developmental disabilities. The chair and the vice chair had a share in that. One could and one didn't have to, but again, and we had varying degrees of developmental disabilities, and it was extremely important that the chair, the executive, the other, the secretary, the treasurer, and any member of that commission could understand and participate fully. That it would, you know, this wouldn't fly with that group. And I'm not saying that this was written in any means to create that problem. I'm just saying my personal experience with that state commission, this would be really difficult for some people to participate who have such incredible strengths and would just we would benefit from their experience and their insight as a commission member, but that piece might be a stretch. That's, and when you,
The ensure adherence or the plan language?
well, ensuring adherence is a little bit, is, to me, I'm thinking, well, how do I know if someone didn't do it? Or how do I figure out if they did? Or what if I missed it? Will I be in trouble if I didn't do this correctly? Or if I don't think I could be tasked with ensuring that, I would never consider myself for the role of chair. I don't know if saying that the chair with assistance, or maybe that's in our bylaws. Maybe there's something that if this becomes part of our bylaws, Adrian, that we add some clarity that is okay with the mayor and the team that sort of
No,
surrounds this.
Holly, I have to say, I don't think this document is implying that all of this at any time, if there was a situation or a question of a situation, or even an afterthought of, oh, was that a situation, that it would all fall on the chair if it wasn't taken care of right away. I understand the plain language, and I would, if this commission is okay, with the adaptation of the bylaw of the code of conduct, but you would like to make a recommendation to the mayor's office and the legislative team that there needs to be a plain text version of the document, which perhaps may include more clarification around the role of the chair in this instance, I think that's okay and merits a bigger discussion probably with Hannah. Because there might be other commissions that would be in need of that as well. But I want to be very clear that no person on any commission or committee, problem or no problem, if you need help with something, there is help for you, whether that's the staff liaison or another staff member. I don't think this is implying that you are on an island by yourself and something happens and nobody's going to help you.
Yeah. May I speak?
I'm
Holly?
sorry,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead, Brian.
So one thing that you did help just now explain a little bit to me, that I might even moderate my previous position a little bit, is I could see an individual could be capable of doing the role of the chair, but not be able to keep up. And there may be other disabilities that would make it difficult for them to do all the functions of the chair at the same time during the meeting. And I think there could be a reasonable accommodation for that. And it's probably something we could easily incorporate into our bylaw by, and I do think on the
Exactly.
side that we
Yeah.
should incorporate this via our bylaw. But one simple thing would be is that the vice chair has the vice chair has the ability to support the chair in any role that is the responsibility of the chair. And some language to that effect doesn't even change the code of conduct. It basically expands the role of the vice chair and expands the role of the chair to be mutually supportive.
Yep, that's a great way. I feel very comfortable with that suggestion. And we also appreciate Adrian's suggestion of, maybe there is a second version that is in plain text that is.
And I will also say why these things haven't been planned yet. There is more, the support for the commissions with this code of conduct, it doesn't stop here. There are going to be more trainings planned for all commissions, including leadership. Like, what does it mean to be chair? what does it mean to be vice chair? What does it mean to be treasurer? What does it mean to be secretary? Because the mayor's office has heard from several folks who volunteer their time, most of the time for these positions. And then somebody says, hey, you would be a good chair, or you would be a good treasurer, or you would be a good, and nobody's like, what does that mean? You know, and
I had the same questions.
yeah, so
What do
there
I
is
do?
more training coming down. I would gather say probably after budget season, if I'm being fair. You know, about what these roles, what is the role of just being, you know, a volunteer commissioner or a committee member when you are appointed or you apply to be, you know, what does that look like? So folks understand, you know, what roles are and sort of what those mean and where the supports are. So that is coming, because that is something we've heard far and wide of folks is like, I would love to be chair, but I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Do I have to bring my own Zoom account? Like, what does that mean?
It's true. And it probably means something different in each
Yep.
commission, because what that commission is trying to move forward is very unique. So my thought is Adrian, if you could find out what the process is, if this becomes part of our bylaws, if we should be also reviewing at our next meeting, any clarity supporting this that should be in our bylaws, or in general, that any member who would like assistance or needs guide, you know, just sort of how a person on our commission will be supported, just so it's, you know, overly explained. We all know that there is support out there. We all know that we would support each other, but I feel more
Well,
comfortable.
I would venture to say that, you know, even without this, and I will ask those questions of Hannah and Denise, but you know, you all in this process, and I know you're getting ready to talk about the bylaws, should probably put something in the bylaws, particularly around the roles that you outline in the bylaws of, you know, reasonable accommodations and what does that mean? You know, you should probably outline that already somewhere in your bylaws. Everybody should really do that, but this commission for sure should have that in the bylaws.
One
This
other
is
comment.
Pauline. I have a
Please go ahead,
question.
Pauline.
I'm not
Yes.
sure I understand why we're thinking about signing this thing if there's more training to come along.
So the training is separate from the code of conduct, Pauline. The training is to sort of let folks know what it means to be a commissioner, what it means to be if you were interested in serving as an officer on a commissioner committee. So that is separate.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So it's a whole different subject,
In a way, yes.
correct?
Yes. Because what the administration is committed to, among other things, is that, you know, volunteering for these positions, you know, is essentially work and is commitment and is hours of people's days and months and weeks. And so, you know, there should be things in place to prepare them and train them, not only before, but ongoing beyond what's already in place. So you go through the code of ethics training and the state trainings, but the city, you know, there's a push to put in some things from the city level. So folks are prepared to take on these volunteer roles because it's important work. And it's also work that, and I will say this because I've done it myself, that can be talked about in career trajectories. You know, people should put their board leadership and things like that on resumes. It's important to talk about. Yes, Harriet.
Okay, I
One last,
think I understand it.
Okay.
Thank
would you
you.
have another question? And Pauline, are you okay?
I'll live with it.
No,
Uh-huh.
say what's on your mind. You can still live with it, but if you'd like to share it, I'd like
If we talk about this training separately, right? Why can't we just sign the code and be done with it?
So I don't have an answer to that question, Colleen. I'm just, passing along the information I have from the mayor's team, that there's more training coming for the commissions, that, the code of conduct is sort of this first step in terms of, process and sort of streamlining things across boards and commissions. And the training is another component of that.
And there's two pieces. Each of us as individuals needs to sign and return the signed copy of this code of conduct to probably to Adrian or to the mayor's office, wherever it needs to be received by the city, as well as the
Yeah.
commission as a whole, our body also incorporating this in whatever ways that we will find out and report back to the group. So you as an individual need to review and assign this agreement, and if you have any personal questions or concerns, I'm sure Adrian or the mayor's office will be happy to answer those. So it's not just the commission, it's us as individuals.
Yeah. My last question was, Adrian, partly because we are the Commission for Persons with Disabilities, I was just wondering, you used the phrase or the idiom, a training will be coming down. And I just thought it's interesting because some of the longtime people, or even short-term people, like Holly and so forth, if there's going to be any room for the circularity or the reciprocation of what we so far understand as what the different officers' positions are, and what it entails. Do you see what I mean? Because right now it feels as though, I don't know who, Hannah and others in the mayor's office are writing up definitions and the various jobs of these different officers. And it just feels like that'd be interesting to have certain input from experienced people who've been in these roles too.
Yeah, and I don't know at this point, Harriet. That's a great question and comments how they're handling it.
Yeah.
And how they're going to formulate it. I'm sure they will. I know that they're fixating first on the role of the chair, because they know across the board, for the most part, every commission and board has a chair or, somebody who's, or should have like a leader, a person chairing the meetings. And then also, to be fair, what is really the role of the staff liaison? Because sometimes new people are hired by the city and then they're told by their department they're going to staff this commission, and they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I see.
That's a good point.
It's
Yeah.
internally as well. I had board experience, so that wasn't, sort of I understood what I was doing, but some staff don't. Like, what does it mean to be a staff liaison as a city employee to a volunteer commission of constituents, residents?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think part of the
that's
beauty
what
of
they're starting with. They're starting with the chair, and they're starting with the staff liaisons, and then I'm sure they will be curious to know, based on individual bylaws, what other officer roles folks have in place, if they have those in place.
I think the beauty of being a staff liaison is that you as the individual and the commission that you work with get to influence that role, that there is that flexibility, that there are things that you do with this commission that that don't apply to a different commission. They're each individual liaison in their role with a specific commission is different. And that's really important because you're adapting to our needs and we're adapting to working through you in the city. That togetherness. I like that there's a lot of flexibility. I completely understand the need of a liaison to have training and guidance and structure and understand how things should flow and work. But the part that I find great is that you can adapt to our needs and what we're trying to accomplish, and we can adapt to what you can offer to us and how to move through the system, because I think we've been very successful that way.
Yeah.
I hope you feel the same way, but I feel like that flexibility that you provide us really suits our needs.
Yeah,
And it looks different. So I know there are some staff liaisons out there who start meetings, on Zoom or whatever component it will soon all be Zoom. But, start the Zoom link, but the chair takes care of getting things uploaded to the website. And the staff liaison merely is somebody sitting with their camera off, sound off in the corner, not really engaging because it's not necessary for that particular commission. But I think what the mayor wants to streamline and wants to know is, all right, so we know for the Commission for Persons with Disabilities that, that staff liaison assist with getting things on the website in terms of meeting minutes and things of that nature. And they are providing a Zoom link and technical assistance and getting the captioner set up. Because you're right, Holly, it looks different for everybody. I have told my department and the mayor's office since I started that I believe in autonomy always. Often I do sit quietly because I want this, because I am not a commissioner, right? But because I want this meeting to go how you all organically see it going.
We appreciate that.
that's great.
I'm gonna, for the next 15 minutes, I think that I'd like to bring us to Article 4 of the bylaws. And it's a very small paragraph. I just want to talk about it briefly.
Ryan, did you have something else? I see.
Before we leave the code of conduct,
Sure.
have we finished that conversation? Because we got Holly through one of your concerns about the code of conduct, and then we got sidetracked by a very positive, productive conversation. But if we're going to sign this next month, then if we have any other, this is our last opportunity to have questions asked to the administration before we sign it. So I just wanted to make sure that we had that opportunity before.
You mean as a body?
As
To
a body?
ask question, not as
Correct.
Individuals? Okay.
Correct.
So
as a body.
this is in speaking with Hannah, and correct me if I'm not accurate, Adrian. This is the version that we will be reviewing, accepting, signing. However, what we discussed for our commission is that there can be clarity, there can be other supports, and if this is going to be something that is memorialized in our bylaws, just as Adrian said, I think it's important that we it wouldn't be changing the code of conduct. It would be more clarifying the code of conduct, especially in an example like the chair is responsible for. In our bylaws, I would foresee the chair is responsible for the chair will be provided support and guidance by the following resources should they like help in performing their duty. Like sort of saying, these are what the chair does, or these are what individuals do. However, in our commission, these are we will make sure that these things are available so that we're successful. Does that make that's in my mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
But
Does
then we
anyone
need to discuss and define that next month during our meeting and modify the bylaws accordingly.
Yeah.
The code of conduct is done. That document
Yep.
as it is not going to be changed. It needs to
Right.
be part of our governing body.
Got it.
We need to individually, if we have issues, discuss that with the mayor's office, with Adrian, as individuals, but individually we need to sign and agree to this. Parents would like us to sign and agree to this, because a lot of this is things that we should be doing as good humans and good citizens to each other, being respectful, understanding, letting people talk, all of those things. This is a lot. That's one thing I immediately thought of was my parents taught me to do these things, and I 100% believe in them.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they're written here. But there are some other things that, example, this one line about the responsibility of the chair. So this is a done thing. We do not need to vote. We will not be objecting, but we will have an opportunity to put more into our bylaws. Would you agree, Adrian?
Yes, just on the individual component, the signed documents, whatever that looks, how that looks for you, if you need help, I can help. That is due to me, because Kim would like me to gather them as the staff liaison and send her one file by June 12th, which I believe is a Monday. So that is the day before supposedly the June meeting.
Okay, so if any of us has questions as individual commissioners, we have resources available to discuss signing this as an individual, but as a governing body, this will be incorporated into our bylaws, our codes, however we get guidance from the city. And if we need to vote to put it into the bylaws as it is, or if we need to put it in and then add additional supports around it, then that's what we'll do as the next step. But I would encourage everyone to please ask any individual questions of Adrian, or she'll connect you to someone. I don't think I would be the appropriate person to ask questions about the code of conduct, but there are resources available to you, and we should all do our best to, within the next week or two, really have that to Adrian.
Just
So
a
she's
just
not
a quickie.
chasing
How
cats.
do Harriet and I? Oh, I'm sorry, Holly. I didn't mean to step on you.
No,
Just
you
a
didn't
quickie.
step on me. Go right ahead.
Just a quickie question. How do Harriet and I sign this thing?
So I am more than welcome to do it on your behalf with your verbal
Yes.
or
Yeah.
other communication
Absolutely.
permission. I can do that. Harriet has signed things before without my assistance, so I will defer to her how she wants to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so our minutes will reflect that we've had a great discussion about the code of conduct. We understand how we have supports currently as individuals and as a body. Adrian will be filling us in on what we need to do. We have a new member. That cat needs to eat less. My cat has been on a diet for 3 months and she's lost nothing.
She's lost weight, haven't you? Yeah.
Our cat
Oh,
is,
does she have a name?
Jill. She came to me
Jill.
that way. I don't know the history. I don't know if there was a Jack along the way of her life. You know, rescue animals need to show up with memoirs and like journals, but they don't.
so I'm gonna bring us back to Article 4. And bear with me. It's 3 sentences and 2 little paragraphs, but Article 4 in our bylaws is officers. And what I would like it to say is commission officers shall consist of a chairperson, vice chairperson, treasurer, and a secretary. I don't believe vice chairperson is in there currently, or treasurer, which is why they are in red. However, I feel strongly that we should have those roles outlined. They are currently in all of the examples and frequently used by other commissions on disabilities.
Just a point through the chair of vice chair and treasurer. Treasurer should probably be pretty explicit so those folks understand. So you all understand. So first, you all have, of course, access to use the accessible parking funds, which is a revolving fund. So that's something this person could probably collaborate with myself on and the other city staff. Holly and I get those emails of those reports. But then also this person could be the person if you needed to use or request funding from RSJ to cover an event or something like that, would also fall under. So it's about money. So just sort of being explicit in that. And then I think with vice chair, just being very clear in however you want to word it, that this person would help the chair. And then I think also it is not out of the realm of possibility if the chair one night was not, so if Holly was not able to chair the meeting, then this person could chair the meeting in her place.
All fantastic points, Adrian, and all listed further down in Article 4. And I think they're stated quite simply. I was hoping, because of the amount of time, that we could just review this first, these first two items, which says the commission will consist of in these additional roles. It doesn't put anyone in the roles. It doesn't say we have to have someone in them. Those pieces are further down, which we will need to review. I don't know if we'll be able to do that in 11 minutes. But I would like to make sure that we have the ability to have a vice chair and a treasurer as part of our body.
Here.
Brian?
Here, here.
I agree. However, we may want to change the term shall. Shall means that we cannot operate without those 4 officers.
So is it a will?
I think it just commission officers, you can just remove shall. Commission officers consist of a chairperson, yada, yada, yada. And if we want to explicitly if we want to explicitly afford ourselves the opportunity to operate with fewer officers, we should just say that. In other words, and the way you would probably do that is say, if an officer doesn't exist, it will be usually it falls to the responsibility of the chair, or as delegate, or those roles may be delegated to another officer if available. You can do something to that effect. But it just affords you the opportunity to have fewer, makes it more clear, but I don't think it's necessary.
So is your concern that it says we have to have that? In my mind, we can have these things, but it doesn't say we
Then we
have
should
to
just
have
get
these
rid of
things
get
because-
rid of the word shall
Okay.
in line 1 and be done. I think that's
Okay.
fine.
The remaining parts of this paragraph are as follows. The
Holly, I have a question.
sure, go right ahead.
So you read the first part of the first sentence, but it continues after the words vice chairperson and treasurer on my copy, and a
Yes.
secretary to be elected for a term of 1 year.
Yes.
Okay, so you intend that to stay there.
We can certainly discuss that. I was trying to figure out how to get to the word be elected for a term of 1 year and tying it back to the first paragraph, but my brain wasn't keeping up with what my choices were. So yes, Frank, thank you for mentioning that. It does currently say to be elected for a term of 1 year. It also calls out that after serving 2 consecutive 1-year terms, 2 years total, an individual must take leave of that office for a year. I don't know why it has this for a year. The exception is that it is apply if that no one other members run for office. That definitely needs some rewording in my mind. I would be extremely pleased if we could agree that commission officers consist of a chairperson, vice chairperson, treasurer, and leaving and a secretary to be elected for a term of 1 year. Because what I'd like to parlay that into is a little bit of voting also. So I'm gonna ask someone to motion to accept the changes So that Article 5 reads as follows. Commission officers consist of a chairperson, vice chairperson, treasurer, and a secretary to be elected for a
Is
term
that-
of 1 year.
Is that Article 4 or 5?
That's 4. 4?
Okay,
Yes.
to correct for the record, yes.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? The only changes I am making is instead of saying officers of the commission, it says commission officers consist of. It's just, I'm moving, it's grammatic more than, it means the same thing, but the change is adding vice chairperson and treasurer, because that's not something that we've had listed in the past.
I move to approve such changes to section 1, Article 4.
I second.
All 2 seconds, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2, 3, 4, we've got 4, great. The motion passes. That first sentence in Article 4, I shall remove the word shall, and it will follow that way. Now, parlaying into the idea of having a vice chairperson and a treasurer, I would like to see if we have anyone who would like to nominate themselves or be willing to take on the role of vice chairperson.
I will
And
take myself.
are there any other commissioners present who would like to be considered for the role of vice chairperson?
Oh, sorry, that was really quick. Who just nominated themselves?
Harriet,
Okay, thank you.
Harriet.
I'd like everyone to know that this is not something I discussed with anyone, especially not Harriet or Frank. This was just something that, as Adrian was discussing the roles, the chair, the vice chair, and I was very interested in adding this Article 4 change, that I decided it would be a good opportunity to see if we could have someone in that role. Also, as Adrian said, that role has a really is a great article for supporting myself if I'm not able to attend, rather than having to nominate and begin the meeting with someone who's acting as the chair. So, Pauline, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't know if this calls for a motion or not.
We
That
just
we-
got a first. Would anyone like to second that motion? Actually, I'll second that motion. I can second a motion, can't I?
Yes.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Well, so it looks like Harriet, you are the vice chairperson.
I decided to do it because I'm up to my ears in alligators with you on this and that and other thing, and outside the meetings, because of being on 2 committees so far.
I'm so glad we're both alert enough to understand that. I'm very pleased that you are willing to take on this position, and I think you'll be a great asset, and I greatly appreciate that. And I don't know if there's anyone who would like to consider the role of treasurer. I would just like to remind everyone, anyone can be an officer. The only difference between an associate commissioner and a commissioner is voting. So we could actually have a chairperson who can't participate in votes, cannot vote, but can participate in the commission in all the other ways. It sounds kind of backwards. Adrian's giving me that face, but
Yeah,
think of it in the
I
terms of
don't-
being the
so,
treasurer.
Molly, I don't know if that's true.
yeah.
Anyone can be an officer. They just can't vote.
But I don't think that meets public meeting law.
Yeah, that's my hesitation.
Should be the treasurer.
Yeah, you have to be a full member to be an officer. I'm pretty certain if you're going to argue this, Holly, we need to have it reviewed by legal.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'm not arguing.
Okay.
If you and Adrian both feel that that's
Yeah.
not accurate, then I will go
I
back.
wish I totally understand the increasing of being inclusive as a result, if that could be done, but it does, Brian is right, it could present an issue with open meeting law and other legalities that you all do have to keep in mind. So here's one thing, just to paint a scenario for you. I think you remember, Holly, before we established that if you were unable to come to a meeting because we didn't have a vice chair, you all had to vote somebody in. And the only people who could do that were the people who could vote. So if you didn't have quorum, remember, we couldn't have that meeting because we didn't have quorum. And
Correct.
so
now that we have a vice chair,
Yeah.
we still wouldn't have a meeting if there wasn't quorum,
correct.
but we would have a vice chair who would not need to be voted in for that meeting. They would assume their role, and as we had quorum, the vice chair would preside
Yeah.
for that meeting. But the
But
vice
again,
chair,
there are bigger things with, I think, open meeting law and legalities that an officer needs to be a full voting member of this commission.
okay. I think I'm very pleased that we have agreed and accepted the change in that first sentence in Article 4. I'm over the moon that Harriet has been voted in as our vice chair. I can't tell if that's Frank's arm
Frank.
or Harriet's arm.
I think it's
Very
Frank.
good.
Hi.
Hey, Holly, just curious, are you, as we're voting, are you maintaining the copy of record of the bylaws?
So I am looking at the last version that I had that you sent me. And the only thing, and I am literally penciling in on a piece of paper what it will look like, because it's one sentence that we've changed.
Okay.
Just send that to us.
Well,
right?
actually, see, I have it on screen and I've just accepted those particular changes.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
it's changed with the shall as well. So.
That's great. So we've made that change. It is 8:59. I just wanna, give me 37 seconds.
I think we can do that.
Mhm.
To Adrian's point, which is very true, the role of the vice chair, the role of all of those officers have been added as future things to be reviewed. I think that in this section, Article 4, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces underneath it. And number 4 says the vice chairperson shall perform all of the functions of the chair in their absence. And I think it's very important that we review that and vote that in as well, because that clearly defines that is an important piece of the vice chair to be in our bylaws that says they perform all the functions of the chairperson in their absence. Anyone
My
have any?
only recommendation is that we also add or as requested by the chair. And that allows the chair, and that I put this note in well before tonight, and so I'm
Okay.
remarking at how
Sure.
that comment lines up with what you were saying earlier of where the chair may not be able to fulfill all the functions of the chair in any particular moment. And that gives the chair the authority either on an ongoing basis or on an individual basis to say, Vice Chair, I need your help doing X, Y, and Z as part of this meeting.
Can you, you said that the sentence would read, the vice chairperson shall perform all of the functions of the chairperson in their absence.
That's what it currently says. And then I would add right at the end of that, or as requested by the chair.
Perfect. Good
And that
editing.
and that
You've
just
had that for
provides-
months, haven't you?
It's been sitting,
Yeah,
I went
yeah.
through in March, the whole
Yeah.
thing, and I'm just like remembering where my comments are.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic. Unless anyone has any further comments, I would like to motion that we accept under Article 4 of our bylaws officers, item number 4, the the vice chairperson shall perform all of the functions of the chairperson in their absence. Give me the rest of the language, Brian.
Or as requested by the chairperson.
Or as requested by the chairperson.
For clarification, there's no comma in this sentence, right?
I do not believe there needs to be a comma,
Okay, good.
unless you're an Oxford comma guy.
I don't think we'd object to a comma. Grammar is always good. If I could only say grammar. Okay, so I'm gonna, I've
Yeah,
provided the motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
second, yeah,
2 seconds, all in favor? Aye.
aye.
right.
Got 4, motion passes. We now have a vice chairperson as an officer. We have voted in a vice chairperson and we have further defined their role. Thank you, Mr. Brian Postlewaite. And it seems to be quite effective the way it has been changed. I am so happy you're all here tonight. I am so happy you are all volunteering your time to be a part of this commission every month and all the things that we do in between. And unless there is anything else, I'm gonna motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:03 p.m.
I second.
We have 1 second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes. Motion passes, meeting adjourns. It is 9:03. Thank you, Liaison Pomeroy.
Thank you, Adrian and Brian and Pauline and Holly.
And if it's helpful, I can send you the Word document that I have. Yeah, I just accepted those changes after your vote.
Yes, and please
Oh, and
copy
thank you,
Adrian.
thank you, Kitty Cat.
Yes, thanks. to
Jill?
Thanks to Jill.
Thank you.
All
Thank you, Frank. Well, we'll talk soon. And I just want to make sure everyone realizes there is no Thursday, Friday special meeting because we got all the
Yeah.
paper, we got everything done, and those kids thankfully will get their
Molly, just for my clarification, there's still more adaptations to the bylaws coming, right? You all are not done with the document, correct?
correct. It is quite the living change, document of
That's fine.
change.
I just wanted to
You've
make
made.
sure.
Yes, but thank you. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. Okay, good night, everyone. Talk
Good
soon.
night.
Good night.